Right. Been a little minute. This is my last video. Things have changed with my trading. Skipping the intro, let's just get right into it. So I got really good with supply and demand. And basically, I'm going to give you a trade setup that I actually personally took. Smaller account, but I took it, and that's all that matters. And I did it with simple supply and demand. So I started to learn smart money concepts, and it's been doing extraordinary. Like it's made my trading so much way better. Like, yeah, the swing highs and swing lows, they work for me, but it was something missing, and I felt it. And this is what's missing from my trading. So let's go over this NAS 100 real quick. So this move right here, let's go to daily. We knew on the daily the market was just dropping because of obviously news and wars and all that good stuff, that good jazz, right? Not really a fundamental trader, but whatever. So I knew eventually that there was going to be a big pushback, a big pullback on NAS, US 30, Apple. Apple does the same thing. And I was waiting on it. So right here, let's get to the mechanics of supply zone. There's a big difference between supply and demand zone. There's a big difference between supply and demand zone and traditional support and resistance. There's rules to the supply and demand zone. And honestly, if you heard it before, it sounds real fancy, and if you don't understand the rules, obviously, of course, you're going to say it's fancy support and resistance. That's just what it is. It is fancy support and resistance. But learning it is key. I feel like this should be rule number one in trading. All right, so when the market pushed down on this move right here, what made this big push up come here is from this last previous candle. This red candle is where on a lower time frame, the market put in orders from an order block, because supply and demand is, or another fancy word will be order block. So it made a order block for NAS 100 to push up from this area. So when it pushed up from this area and it came right here, it came up here, it made imbalance in the market. So once it makes a new move, it wants to come down and mirror this whole move, as you can see right here. But when it mirrors the whole move, it always comes back to the zone in which it just left. So if you cover up the wicks of the origin of the push-up, it came back. And see what you could do right here, you could trade it right once it taps the top part. So let's do that. You can put a horizontal line right here, which will be your traditional support and resistance. And, you can put one in the middle and then one at the bottom. Now you have points of interest, points to trade off of. Sometimes you can go ahead, get in right here, as long as the stop loss, as long as stop loss below the actual zone, you should be good. See, it tapped that zone right there. So you could have went to a smaller time frame. The whole idea of smart money concept is this is where the banks are going to come back to and collect more orders to push the market back up, right? So it tapped in there right there. You could have had a really tight stop loss and a long TP. These is how you get your 1 to 10s, your 1 to 20s, whatever you're trying to get by going to M5 and M1 for these moves. Let's pull this back a little bit so we can see better. All right. Now, what I've been using is the volume indicator, because the value indicator lets you know what when the banks are going to come in. So let's just pull the volume indicator on just for a second. Now, you see the high volume on this move, on this demand zone. So this lets me know. See, there's all of this right here. That big volume let me know right off that area that this demand, when it comes back here, look what happened. See how the volume increased right off of this. And now you had a nice buy. Now here is where liquidity grabs come in at, where smart money comes in. You have this liquidity grab right here, right? Where it comes below the zone, traps a whole bunch of sellers, retail sellers are selling right now, and it shoots the market back up in that zone. So smart money traders, what we're looking for is, we know that it went below the zone of this demand, but this is a high demand. And as you can see, each time it touches demand, it gets weaker. You can see it with the values. This was high value. This value was lower than that value. That value was way more lower than that. So if this comes back and tap it again, it's just going to get weaker and weaker and weaker. So what ended up happening is, on this trade, let's go down to the 15, and this is where I got my entry at. So here's the trade. This is where I got in there. I saw that it came down, and this is where it trapped the sellers at. This is where break and retest traders came in on traditional support and resistance. It broke it. Strong candle break, rejection candle, and it trapped the sellers. Sellers are selling right now. And look, liquidity just took them out. And then on top of that, not only did it take out the sellers, people that were buying right here, when it came down, it probably wicked them out. So it wicked out the buyers for liquidity and wicked out the sellers for liquidity. Got a lot of stop losses hit just for this move to come up. Now, the reason why I went to the M15 is for these reasons right here. Let us put in, because I still use indicators. I don't really have to. But if you come over here to the awesome oscillator, it's just another oscillator. You can use the RSI, you can do whatever you want, right? Right here, I saw the divergence. See the divergence? So when I saw the divergence, I put my long position right there. I gave it a little room. And I remember, like, as a smart money trader, I know that this is a daily demand zone, arguably could be a weekly. So here's my entry. I'm in already, small stop loss. And I was ready and prepared to come back over here to the daily. Let's go back here. I'm not going to see you. See that? All right, there we go. So we were prepared to come to the daily. And I literally, if I can get it, had it. A little better on H4. I think I was on H4 anyway. Why is it not letting me? Okay. And I literally took it to right here, because that's the supply. The drop down came from this blue candle right here. So I took it to the supply. Look how airtight that stop loss is. You see how you see it? See how airtight that stop loss is? This is a 1 to, I don't know. It's a 1 to something. Just know, this is what I mean by smart money concept. Like this, we get these trade setups like this all the time. And, I noticed now, like even this week with my trading, a lot of my stop losses were airtight. Now, I actually took this trade too, that when it happened, but I took it to see, at this point I was trading it, and I was trading traditional support and resistance at that time, or swing high, swing low. And I didn't take this one. I didn't take this one because I just wasn't taking it. But this, now that I understand smart money, I took this smaller account with NAS 100 mini, obviously. So I like, because what I like to do anyway for me, basically, is to trade longer position on indices. I don't like getting like a couple of candles and then closing out. I like a longer position. You know what I'm saying? Longer position. So, and look, it went past this supply zone because obviously it's probably going to go to a supply zone that's higher up. That's why I didn't take this sale right here. I knew not. I mean, it was giving us sales along smaller time frames, but look what happened Friday. So if it goes like this, is a lot of retail traders were probably putting sales right here, and they probably got little money, but eventually it burst out. That's why what I mean by retail traders are traders that are trading the retail way, where the smart money got to a daily demand zone. So it's probably going to go to a major daily supply zone. Now, there's going to be sales on these areas. There's going to be a lot of sales, but coming over here to the daily, a lot of, we've got a lot going on here as far as supply zones. Even up here, I'm trying to think of major supply zones that it could tap up here and drop again. It could tap right here and drop again. It can easily, probably on a lower time frame, could tap right there and drop again. Or it could blow past this one. Think like a bank. Probably want to come and tap up here one more time. And then if it was destined to fall, then it'll fall from here, fall from grace. But the longer a zone, the longer price has been away from a zone, the probability of it coming back and we can get a nice little short off this zone and take it zone to zone. Probably get something right there. Probably get something right there. Take it back to the zone. These are the trades I'm looking for indice wise. Off zones. So that's NAS 100. That's the wrap up on that trade. Let's go and look at some of some other trades that I took smart money wise. XRP. Mr. XRP. What a mess, huh? But let me show you how powerful supply and demand is. All right, so obviously we have the last move before the origin of the shoot up came from the last red candle, right? And there's a big major consolidation right there. Now you see how it came down and tapped back into the zone? It barely tapped it. It tapped back into the zone and shot back up. Do you and these are the textbook supply and demand trades off the daily. Do you know if you would have saw that tap, you could have got an airtight stop loss and then gone all the way up? Probably there because I think I see a supply. There's probably a supply zone right there. Might have some type of supply zone right there on the lower, on the lower time frame. And you could have took it right there. Look, it tapped it, and then look, that candle right there hit your TP. Do you see that could be like a 1 to 20? You could put a super high lot right there, and obviously it's very risky. But obviously if you risk, let's say you risk 1% on this airtight stop loss off the 15-minute or something. Look how many pips you could have got off these moves. You see what I'm saying? Foundational. Go over to H4. So these two are zones, but you got H4 zones. So it comes here, creates one, creates one right there. Put that in. The origin of that is right there. So it consolidates a little bit, comes up, makes an imbalance, comes back down to the zone. Look, it barely went inside of the zone, tapped into the zone, shot up. Then right here, it creates another zone. I think this is on the H1. H1. So right there. H1 creates another zone right there. Look, shoots off of the zone, tap it again. You could have got in right there. Small, air tight stop loss. Shoots to the moon. They're all on every time frame. But ultimately, what is this? The daily. So ultimately, that move off the daily was wonderful. And even this weekly one right here. I was looking at this weekly one. I think it was the daily also. So and then obviously you see your inverted head and shoulder pattern. We're not trying to get rid of patterns or nothing, but just showing you. You have that, but and then you have it's really that one. It's that one right there. So after this big push off of this demand zone, it made it, when it came up here, the imbalance was this move. It needed to mirror this move. So it came down, tapped right there, you could have bought. Then they went in just a little bit more than they didn't need to off here, came back up, tapped again. This looks like it's going to go up. And eventually, test some zones somewhere else. And look at this. It's everywhere. This is a bigger zone. I don't like bigger zones. But look, the bigger zone is the reason why this tapped and dropped in the first place, because it came and touched the untapped zone for a very long time. It hasn't touched up there in a very long time. That's why XRP dropped from here. Now you got this nasty big zone. I don't like bigger zones, but you see it tapped it just a little bit and dropped. So I'm putting money on it. See, when you think this probably gonna come back and tap this zone again, I wouldn't put, I'm not gonna get in the buy right now because it's a higher time frame, and I'm done with XRP right now. I got my money off of it, but I'm putting money on it when it come back and touch the zone. This is the major zone that it wants to touch, and that's how you look at. You got to look at the market on the higher time frame that it want to touch major zones. Bitcoin, so pretty much the same thing. I'm not going to really go over Bitcoin. Let's go over currency pair. Let's see it on a currency pair. I'm going to choose one. I mean, yeah, Euro AUD is actually one, but I'm trying to think of a really good one. That was a good one, but it was on a lower time frame. So, okay. CAD Chef, the origin of this drop down came from that blue candle right now, right there. So it pulled out, it made the drop, it came back, it came all the way into the zone a little bit for a long time, came down, came all the way back into the zone again, dropped. So, and when it returned again, it dropped. So now you got to ask yourself, now that it's coming back up to that zone, and it hasn't been tapped. And see, the rules are, if it hasn't been tapped in a very long time, you're going to get a big reaction off the zone. And it's not been to that zone since October 29th of 2021. So I'm still betting CAD Chef to come back up, tap that zone again. And you can get 50 pips off the zone. It's on the daily. You can get 50 pips off that zone. I think that's some old. You see what I'm saying? You'll get something easily off that zone. And that's just a supply. Look at the demand. Look at this right here. The origin of this move. I think it's it's more of a That is more of a, oh yeah, it's an H4. So here you go. Training your eye to look for these zones. The origin of this push came from that red candle. And this is a stronger zone. So tap, it tapped it, could have made a buy off that, buy off that, buy off that. Now, when, how long ago was this? This was March. This is a strong zone. And then obviously there's other zones in, there's a zone right there. So we're looking at CAD Chef possibly coming down to this zone right here, doing the whack off theory, accumulating orders to come shoot back up, or ultimately wanting to come touch this zone again that it hasn't been since May 22. Then, do its accumulation to come back again. Either or, we'll be ready and prepared with long trades off here. When you get really good, now I know some people that got really, really good with supply and demand, smart money concepts, and they don't wait for M's and W's and all that, because you already know off of a stronger demand what's going to happen. Until I get super duper duper good with it, I'm going to wait for some confirmations. Then I'll go in. But really, you don't have to. Some of the pros, they once it comes into the zone, they just go ahead and buy. And it actually is effective, because that's just where it's just order blocks where CAD is putting in their order blocks to drive the market back up. So let's show another one. Odd New Zealand's are actually good one. I like Odd New Zealand's. All right, so the origin of this big drop down. Oh, here we go with this. All right, 1 second. All right, so the origin of this big drop down came from right here. So this is the supply zone, right? It tapped into it and it dropped, right? Let's make it there. Obviously you can put your POIs in, point of interest, areas to buy off of. And obviously whoever sold, they did really good off the daily. Not saying that it's going to be 100%, but you'll get very accurate with this once you get it down packed. The ones that didn't get it down packed and then, didn't back test it, and then they got away from it and said, oh, this doesn't work. They didn't put the work in to figure out how to do this. That's all that is. So that's a major supply. We have a demand right here. The origin of that move is the last. So it's got it. Well, it's the whole, you know what? This makes sense. This might have been the weekly. I think that might have been the weekly, and that's why it wicked down. It went wick down into this demand, which, obviously, as a retail trader, you'd be like, okay, that's the W, that's the neckline. You ain't really teaching me nothing. I mean, yeah, whatever. Like, all strategy works. This all depends on, who's implementing it, their strategic risk management, everything. But this weekly zone has consolidation on it. And that's why it was so easy to come in here. You didn't have to look for no M's or W's or nothing. As soon as it tapped in there, you could just put that buy in and take it to the next zone. And it could be an airtight stop loss. You probably go to 15. Let me see this. You don't have to look for nothing. This is what I'm trying. This strategy, you don't really have to look, but I always look for that. When I see a little divergent move like that, that's when I got in. I'd have got in right there and had an airtight stop loss, knowing that this was a weekly zone And look, it wicked and then came back up. You could have got a 1 to 8, 1 to 9, whatever you want to. This is how you pass. This is how you can pass prop firms easily. I pass prop firms now with 1 or 2 trades doing this. I'll risk 2% to make like 13. Clear the prop firm easily, just off supply and demand. And actually, I'll show you the one I took to do, let's see, which one was it? I think it was EU. And EU will be the last. I'm gonna make EU the last one because I don't want to make this video too big. But I'll see, I already have it still on there. So you see that this was a zone. Origin of move was that last candle right there. As you can see, weak. And then it flew from there. So knowing that from here, knowing that, oh, it wants to retest this zone after making that M off of this zone. This was a zone on the monthly or whatever. So this was a supply on the monthly, big time supply. So when it hit this supply on the monthly, you should already know it's going to come down to a major demand. And most supply and demands are structure high, structure low. So what ends up happening is it was actually this one. No. Yeah, it was this one. So I took this one right off that wick down there because it wicked inside of this zone. And I had a really airtight stop loss. And obviously we'll go show you on the 15-minute, the entry. You got in on that blue candle right there. Always remember. And I had an airtight stop loss. I was risking like 2% on this. 2%. Risk 2%. Look at that. Look how much one trade you're done. You're trying to get 8% to clear your round one. Find some stuff like this. Learn this. I'm not telling you don't have to learn it, but just this helps out better. Instead of putting a million trades in and going for the whole 30 days, you just got it in one trade. You're still risking 1 or 2%. Look, it went up. Right off there. It bounced off that. Right off this zone. Too easy. All right, I did say one last one, but I gotta talk about this. See, I just learned this. But if I would have, you know, I'm a swing trader. I like swinging. But if I would have known, let's come right here. I think it's the weekly. Let's do this. All right. One last one, guys. Weekly. Now, see that big wick down? Nothing's on purpose. When news is going to be so much easier to trade with supply and demand. The news literally goes to the next demand or the next supply and tap it so it can accumulate orders or and do whatever it has to do. Now, there's that red candle right here, right? So that makes the zone. Points of interest. You could buy right there. Somewhere in the middle. Obviously, and then you got there and oh shoot. So many little areas. Look at this on the weekly. It comes, like I said, the more consolidation, or you know, because that's whack-off theory, accumulating orders to push up. The more consolidation, the heavier the zones is going to be. That's why it came back into that and wick back up. And it came right here. Look how strong this zone is. Look what it did to UJ. People that swing trade, look at that. This is why I always put that money sign right there. There's orders that to be filled right here off the zone. And obviously there's smaller, I'm seeing smaller zones there that created a zone right there to buy off of. That created a zone, but it wanted to tap into this zone first, then close in here, then gave you another buying opportunity. Look at that red candle right there. Created a zone right there. Look how many buying opportunities. And other little zones that it created on the way. Because yes, it does create zones. So now when UJ, where is UJ going? It's going to a major supply zone. Look. There's the supply zone right there. So don't expect UJ to be turning around no time soon unless it comes and taps the zone right here. This is a strong supply zone. This is where it's going. No need to put sales in until it comes to this zone. Once it comes to this zone, then we'll be trying to, we're going to do what the smart money is doing, what the bank is doing. Then we could get this elongated trade. I don't know if it'll come off with that. It'd be wild if it just, because this is a major supply zone. There's so much money right here. And as I've said on my videos before, you got to think like a bank in a swing trader. How many people put sales right here? You didn't think the market was going to come back up here? And I'm telling you, you got to you got to think like the bank. The bank wants to come back up here, right? And it's going to come up here and accumulate orders. And before it drops, it's going to wick a whole bunch of people out, trap a whole bunch of buyers, and probably go down. Expect that. That's what these wicks are right here. People that sold right here, they wicked a whole bunch of people out first. And then it went down. Came right here, came back again, collected some more orders, and the market pushed down. And it came to this zone. Shoo. This makes the market way easier to trade with supply and demand, whack-off theory, everything that has to do with smart money concepts. Now, I'm still learning, but with the little bit that I know, I've been doing way better at my trading. Way better. I see the market more clearer now. But with that being said, I don't want to make the video too long. I feel like it's still too long anyways. There's more videos to come. I will see you on the next one. Peace.